The Full Moon of Space, a Deathbed Confession. A lot of what we told the public was untrue. The guys running things didn't like to think of themselves as frauds. So some ace came up with the word disinformation. I assumed the bosses could sleep at night because they believed they were providing a public service by keeping the harshest truths about the space program a secret. The biggest lie was that we didn't actually land anyone on the moon until 1973. Every televised moonwalk was filmed on a soundstage in Falls Church, Virginia. Considering the technology we had, we got to be pretty good at faking it. Sure, Oliver Stone was a dick, but he was easy enough to manage, and his service record indicated that he could keep a secret. Unfortunately, we knew the lies would eventually catch up with us. The still photos were the first to fall. Things like inconsistent shadows were just bad thinking on our part. Truthfully, though, our biggest concern was all the junk we supposedly left behind. We knew that no one had telescopes big enough to actually see the landers, but Russia and China were another issue altogether. We believed that eventually they'd send people up there and we'd be found out. We didn't care too much if they sent probes because we could always dispute the landing sites. Machines are easy to question, but if some cosmonaut came up on the evening news claiming that his hike through the Sea of Tranquility showed no signs of previous landing, people would want to believe that. Undeniably, those guys we sent in 73 were heroes. They went up there and installed all those props we soft landed for them. They did their jobs. I'll give them that. The military has always been full of patriot orphans who are willing to make one-way trips. My hope is that someday the government might actually release their names. We had this file nickname the Gorski Fragments, and it was probably the best and cheapest disinformation campaign we had. It contained all kinds of odd phrases that were scripted for our guys in the event we ever needed a distraction. We figured that if anyone ever questioned the moon landings, we'd just start explaining some of that weird crosstalk our writers dreamed up. We made Neil explain the Mr. Gorski reference in 95. It was a sweet little story, and we assumed most people would want to accept this truth. Let's face it, for a piece of propaganda, it had everything. It had the right amount of sex to get people's attention, but wasn't so dirty that you couldn't tell it to your grandmother. Simply put, if people wanted to believe Neil's down-to-earth fable, they first had to accept that he was actually up there. We even faked a few losses to add some drama to the program. The Liberty Bell has a crack in it, so we sank Liberty Bell 7. Apollo 13 was intentionally riddled with the number 13. The launch was at 1313. The explosion happened on April 13th. Everything about that flight was written in a boardroom and filmed in Falls Church. By the time we got to the shuttle program, the public was getting bored with space again and started questioning our budget. It was a challenge, so we set up the Challenger. The crew was supposed to be recovered and then secretly retired to the south of wherever. The bosses asserted that we just failed to retrieve them before they all drowned. Then there were the unscheduled losses, like the Apollo fire. The Columbia disaster was unexpected. The flight surgeon used the term lycanthrope for that one. I guess that's somehow different from a werewolf, in that lycanthropes can change at will. However, The short video feed we picked up indicated that the moon still had some influences on the species. We stopped sending weapons up there after the Mercury mishap, so the other astronauts on board never stood a chance. After the attack, the affected crew member curled up on what was left of the control panel and started howling. You see, when you're in space, the moon is always full. Lycanthrope or not, we figured the thing just couldn't restrain itself any longer. The staff in Falls Church quickly filmed some disposable lookalikes. NASA bounced the fake video off a few satellites so the signal would come in from the right direction. In the end, ground control added a few degrees to Columbia's trajectory. Falls Church handed out some headshots, and all was again right in the free world. Good luck, Mr. Gorski.